Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking with PB. My internet's not working, and I am starving. So, I decided to record one of these. I woke up late, and my parents decided that they wanted to go out and do, their errands of the day, and then pick up some food. However, when my parents say they're gonna go do, a thing, when they say just one thing, they're probably gonna go do about 20. So they left about 2 hours ago, and I was just like, no, no, no. I'll just sit here. I'll wait. I'll wait for them because if I eat something, then I'm not going to be able to eat what they bring, and you know how the story goes. But unfortunately, it's been 2 hours and they're still not back, and at this point, there's no turning back. I've made my decision, and I have to stick with it. Also, it's like morning for me. For me, it's not actually morning, but it's like I just woke up morning. So my voice is probably a little tired, maybe a little phlegmy. Hi, DK. I should have warmed up before this. Oh well. Anyways, I wanted to talk about music. This I was gonna call it a podcast, but it's not a podcast. This episode, I just watched a podcast. That's why my mind's on the podcast. Um, I wanted to talk about music this episode because one of my earlier episodes, I don't remember which one it was at this point. Um, it was recorded a while ago, but I talked about my lost sort of like in music, my lost passion for music and how I'm still trying to find it and stuff like that. And I feel like it was, it put a sour note on how you guys think I view music or how I feel towards music. And the truth is that although I have lost my creativity in music at this point in my life, I actually, love music a lot. Like a lot, a lot. Like more than I have ever before in my life. Um, I took a year hiatus from music. I took a year hiatus from everything in my life, to be honest with you. I was just not in a good place in life. I'm also getting a little bit sick, so I have to apologize for that. I took a year hiatus essentially from a lot of things. So, because they say, heart absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I decided, to test that theory and to hopefully, jumpstart um my love for things again. Just because, things got really stressful, and when things get stressful, you tend to reprioritize some things in your life. And I I just wanted to see if I was doing it just because, like, if I was studying music just because I told myself I was going to study music, and that was a decision I was going to stick with, or if it's, generally because I love music. And I'm constantly reminded, guys, that I love music, and music is the one thing I want to continue in my life, and to conduct kids and to teach kids the love of music. I'm constantly reminded now that that's the thing. But I went a year, guys. I went a year without pretty much listening to music. Um, I occasionally listen to the radio, but I wasn't like on Spotify. I canceled my Spotify premium account. I stopped following 8 tracks and stuff like that. I stopped looking up music videos and stuff like that, and stuff like that, and stuff like that, and stuff like that. Oh man. I As much as you guys notice me saying things over and over again repeatedly, like stuff and things like that, lol, jk, like, and all of those things, or so, I also say so a lot. I say sorry a lot also. But as much as you guys notice it, I notice it even more. I just try not to distract myself by thinking, oh my gosh, I'm saying that word like a million times. Oh man. Sorry about my a little bit phlegmy voice. Like I said, it's still morning for me. My voice might be a little bit lower. I don't know. I haven't really tested that in a couple of years. Anyways, I constantly reminded that I love music. Love music. Yeah, I went on a year hiatus. I didn't listen to music almost at all. And when I did, it was just pure pop. It was just pure enjoyable music. It wasn't music because my last year of school that I studied music, it wasn't my last year of school. I'm still attending school, but my last year I was studying music exclusively. I took music history 1 and 2 and music theory 3 and 4. And obviously I had RL skills, AURAL, RL skills, which is ear training. 3 and 4, piano 3 and 4. I took all my 3 and 4s, and the 3 and 4 classes of all music, or music history, is pure listening to music. Literally, you will listen to music round about probably 100 hours a week. Whether it's homework, whether it's a piece you're learning, whether it's something you have to accompany, or if it's something you have to memorize for a test later, or just a song you need to, a composition, pieces, a compilation of pieces, um, you have to listen to, whether you have to analyze it. Like, there's a bunch of things you have to do with music, and pretty much my every waking hour was just listening to music or thinking of the music I had to listen to, and it got real old real quick. um, I'm not a fan of people telling me what to do, and it's a real problem for me because if someone, even if it's something I want to do, if someone like tells me I have to do it, I find it very difficult to convince myself to do that thing, in spite of the person who is making me do it. Especially if it has a stupid assignment attached to it, then I really, really don't want to do the thing. It's a problem. I'm working on it. It's a character flaw. So I stopped listening to music, blah blah blah. And so this past year, and my year starting literally the beginning of the year, yeah, beginning of the year, or maybe it was last fall. I can't really remember at this point. But I started listening to music again, and this time I decided that I was not going to limit myself in what I listened to based on other people's opinions. For example, a lot of people have very, very, very negative outlooks on hip hop music and rap music, and I decided I'm not going to do that. Actually, one of my favorite artists back when I was younger was called Lil Bow Wow, and later on Bow Wow. He was one of my favorite artists. I think I owned 3 CDs by the guy. And I loved his music back in the day. I was in elementary school when I listened to him. I also listened to country back then, but I can't find the passion for country at the moment. But I'm not opposed to listen to it. I'm just not terribly interested in listening to it at the moment. So I tried to educate myself more on rap music and hip hop music, and also a little bit more into jazz because jazz is always has always been a genre I never really paid attention to, or maybe I even avoided it for a specific reason that I can't remember. And therefore, I also continue listening to pop music because pop music actually has a very negative stigma behind it. If you tell people you like it or you listen to it, especially when you're speaking to people who tend to, be more on the educated side, or intelligent, I guess is I don't I don't know how to say it. People who have higher critical thinking levels. I don't know how to describe it, but like it's technically like people who are more quote unquote intelligent or quote unquote smart or educated, even though it's not always the case. People who tend to be more snobby about things that come about just subjects in general. Those people tend to hate pop a lot, and I tend to know a lot of those people. So there's a very negative stigma behind pop, especially someone like me who comes from who really enjoyed alternative rock and alternative and metal and stuff like that when I was younger. And I still do. I still love it. I mean, it was the music of my childhood essentially. And especially if you know a lot of people who like alternative rock and rock music. They think the antithesis of rock music is pop music, and it's really not. Rock music and pop music are extremely similar in ways that people who are polarized to one side or the other don't realize. It's really funny, actually, if you're an outsider looking in on that, or if you were on one of those sides. I was personally a person who used to hate pop just on pure principle and not because of the music. Um, And people tend to hate pop music in general because it's popular music. That's what it stands for. It's popular. And you're gonna get some good ones and some bad ones. And like, I don't know. People are weird when they come to music, and I just decided, F all that business. I'm gonna enjoy music because I enjoy music. Whether it's, I mean, when you study from Gregorian chant back in the early AD, early late BC, and you see how the first instruments, pictures of the first instruments that are found by archaeologists, like flutes made out of bird bird bones, and drums made out of this and that, and when you go from Gregorian chant, that's literally just chanting. It's like that's Gregorian chant. It might as well be a monotonous didgeridoo. That was Gregorian chant, and that was very famous. It was started by the church, and blah 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 blah. And going to the Harlem Renaissance, where they literally broke every rule in the book, and they revolutionized and essentially created the saxophone. Like, when you see that evolution in music, things become very, very trivial. Like, the little things people are so particular about and just picky about in music that they're like, oh, I hate that, or oh, I hate that. Like, it's so dumb in the, like, spectrum of things. Like, oh my god, seriously, it's so dumb. When I hear people having arguments about um, modern music, which is, our regular 2 to 5 minute long pieces of music that's on the radio on whatever, station. I'm just like, guys, are you kidding me? These are like a few. I just think it's so dumb. Like, I have to imagine it's like, how, this is how it is, guys. This is how I see arguments in music that are so petty. I see it like we see ants. We see them as being so little and so insignificant, even though they do, big things or whatever. But it's like that. It's like little specks on a little piece of white paper. That's what it is. It's so insignificant you barely even notice it, or it barely even makes a difference. That's how I see people making polarizing statements on music now. Because all it is just he say, she say. And it's always happened. Ever since music has existed, people haven't liked something. Um, people, governments, rulers, kings, tyrants, they've all made rules on what music you can't and can't. The Soviet Union is one of the more popular recent ones. I'm sure North Korea is like this. China probably does this a lot. I think China just passed something on what you can and can't say in music, which is very odd. Um, and music has always been an outlet for those who can't, you know, um, can't do something else. They're not able to do something else, or they can't say something explicitly, so they put it out in music. And it's just so dumb. Seeing it in the grand spectrum of things, especially of musical history, because when you learn music history, you have to learn actual history at the same time, so you understand why music sounds a certain way at certain times, and why things shifted from sounding like one thing to drastically sounding like another thing, and so you know why you start hearing piano in pieces instead of harpsichord, and why things become more complex as time goes on, and how why choruses started playing with instruments and how operas came to be and all of this stuff. You have to know the history of the world to also understand that and why certain composers sound like this and certain sound like that and vocalists and instrumentalists and blah 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 blah. Um, yeah. So on this second half of this video, let's talk about actual music. So, um, my question to you guys of the day, which I'll repeat at the end of this episode also, but I want you guys to start thinking about it, because I found this to be a very difficult question, and in the previous episode, that's not going to go out because it was very, very boring. um, I asked you guys your favorite song or songs. I said song originally, but then I figured out that I don't even have a favorite song. I have way too many favorites to just, pick one. I want to know what your favorite song is. It doesn't matter what genre it is, what time period it's from, um, if it's vocal, if it's instrumental, if it's EDM. Um, just tell me below what your favorite song or songs are. And I want you to pick at least one. Just at least one. You can give me an entire list. I'm really curious. Because I have a long list, and I could go on forever and ever. So I'm heading over, to my Spotify. I don't have premium anymore. It's to discourage me from listening to music all the time and do other things with my life also. Excuse my squeaky chair. So if you guys use Spotify a lot, or if you don't, there's this in Spotify you can have apps. They're sort of apps. They're apps that are in the client in Spotify, and there's one that's called Classify. It's Classify, and here you can find music. Oh, excuse me. You can find composers, artists, specific instruments you want to listen to, and they have recommended playlists also. Like right now, they have the 50 greatest Christmas carols and John Williams' greatest scores, or the 50 greatest opera arias and greatest piano by specific people, and things just to listen to, or 100. What is this one? 100 pieces of classical music for your brain. You could also click specific composers like Chopin, Grieg, Bach, Tchaikovsky. I don't know who that is. Bizet, Brahms, Gershwin, Haydn, Liszt, and popular artists like Lang Lang and Pavarotti. Oh, Pavarotti. Also instruments if you want happy or sad. Instruments like happy or sad. Instruments like organ, harpsichord, piano, blah 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 blah. Cello, that's very popular with a lot of people. And moods, you can be sad, fast paced, romantic, dramatic, relaxing, or happy. And also eras like contemporary, 20th century, romantic, classical, baroque, renaissance. Oh, classical is after baroque, and it's right before. Well, it bleeds into romantic. So I wasn't 100% wrong when I talked about it earlier. And also themes like adagios, choral music, Christmas music, chamber music, caprices, ballets, concertos, fugues, First Viennese School. Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to go check that one out. Film scores and lieder, which are just songs that you sing. Lieder. I think that's German. They're German songs, German vocal songs. Operas, operettas, which are short operas. Overtures, sacred music. The Second Viennese School. I'm gonna have to check this out. Viennese School. They're not an actual school. It is a it's a like a theoretical school. I believe that's the best way to put it. Let's see. Yeah, they are. I guess you could technically call it a school, but it's essentially clever souk. Oh, sorry, I clicked on it so I can read it. Basically, it's composers during sort of the revolution when music evolved in the late in the early 20th century, late 19th century, when things started going from the previous era, which I believe was the Romantic era. Yeah, when it went from Romantic to 20th century music, which it's a stark difference, just like in art, if you know anything about art, like Cubism, Impressionism, what's the other one, Expressionism, all of those, just like it happened in art, a little bit later it happened in music also, where we took everything we knew and we wanted to like stretch it out beyond piece. One of my favorite pieces to, well, there's two. I have two favorite pieces to describe 20th century music. The first one is called Piano Phase, and I believe it's just called Piano Phase. I'll look it up for you guys. But Piano Phase is essentially, um, um, it's it's one track. Originally, it's one track, and well, yeah, well, technically it is one track, but it's two pianos, right? And they're playing the same exact thing, and it's written by Steve Reich. Reich as in Reich, Steve Reich. And basically, you can't see my visualization, but put your hands together, palm to palm. Is that what it is? Yeah, palm to palm. And now look at them with the back of your hand facing you, whichever hand it is. And now notice how they're in line and sync. Maybe they're a little bit out of sync, but imagine they're exactly the same size. Now slightly shift the hand you have on top, just very slightly to the right. And now you see how you could still see, you can now see your other hand, and then you continue shifting it, shifting it, shifting it, and you see how um they're still the same thing, but it's just moving it. That's what's happening in the song. Little by little, like an unbelievably small percentage of tempo is changing throughout this piece, and I think it's about 20 or 30 minutes long, or maybe even less than that, or 15 maybe. Um, and it's the same. It's two pianos playing the same thing, but just at like an very barely and incrementally um ahead of another one. The other one piano is playing at one speed, and the other one is just so minutely ahead of the other one that you don't really notice until further into the song. And it's so fascinating because this is what I believe exemplifies the 20th century music, instrumental music. It does things that you would have never thought of back in 18, well, not 1800s, like 1810, 1820. Bach would probably be like, "Holy crap! I never even thought about that. That's blasphemous. That's sacramental." But I really like it. I really enjoy it. I recommend a not piano version or a performance of it. I prefer, if you look it up on YouTube, look for someone not performing it, but look for like just a video with the audio. Specifically like an electronic, because that's how it was originally. It was written out music, but it was done electronically, so you could get the effect better. And the second piece is Einstein on the Beach, I believe, by Philip Glass. It's honestly my favorite piece by Philip Glass. I don't like any of his contemporary music. He's a film score writer. You probably have heard him a lot in movies. But he's in that. Philip Glass is that. A lot of people like him, but I personally like his earlier, crazier stuff. When people were experimenting with music and trying to figure out what worked and what didn't work. And he wrote this piece called Einstein on the Beach, and it's a performance piece. This is where music started going hand in hand with visual art also. And my favorite piece is 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's Knees on Sand. I don't remember what it's called. It's Knee something. But if you look up 1, 2, 3, 4 Philip Glass, you'll get it. And it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's like a chorus just singing that over and over again. And it's so fascinating. And that is the other thing that I think exemplifies 20th century music, because that's bringing something else into it. Anyways, enough about that. Blah, blah, blah. And that's the second Viennese school. I think Philip Glass belongs to the second Viennese school. Oh man, that was a long, long tangent that I did not mean to go on. This always happens. I keep going on tangents that I don't mean to go on, and they end up being a lot longer. But yeah, I greatly recommend Classify. I this is where I have a bunch of my playlists. Personally, I have the Dark Side of Mozart and the Dark Side of Classical Music, also essential classical anthems and stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. But I'm gonna give you just a few quick things. I One of my favorite songs by Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky is spelled Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky. I assure you, you've seen the name. He's the guy who wrote the Nutcracker. So if he wrote the Nutcracker, he also did Romeo and Juliet and Swan Lake. So if you ever heard da 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 do, it's Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. You know who Tchaikovsky is. He also wrote ba da ba da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba da ba da ba 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 bum 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 ba 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 da ba da ba ba ba. That was also Tchaikovsky, and it brings me into the song. One of my favorite songs by him is the Festival Overture in E flat major, and it's nicknamed "The Year of 1812," which is where that part comes from. Da 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 da. You hear it a lot during 4th of July and fireworks and stuff like that. It's about 17 minutes long, but I really love it because it really just it's a very happy song. Tchaikovsky was a very what's this word? He was a very sensitive man who wrote very, very just beautiful music, and I really appreciate it and love it. The William Tell Overture, always obviously by Rossini. I recommend that one. Canon in D major, obviously by Pachelbel. Strauss. He wrote the beautiful Blue Danube. I would sing it for you, but I'm running out of time. Carmina Burana O Fortuna by Karl Orff. Orff as in Orff. Strauss again. I recommend him. Also, Jacques Offenbach. Offenbach as in Offenbach. He wrote the Can, and it's from Orpheus in the Underworld. And Orpheus in the Underworld, great, great, great opera. I think it's an opera. It's beautiful, beautiful story. I love it. You should listen to it. Can is the famous one, but he has a lot of pieces from that. Orpheus is an Orpheus in the Underworld. Messiah by Handel, the Hallelujah Chorus. If you ever have the opportunity, especially now that it's becoming Christmas time, if you have the opportunity and someone's performing the Messiah, if it's I greatly recommend it, especially if it's in a Catholic church. Catholic churches have great acoustics, and they really exemplify the Messiah because that's where it was originally. Handel wrote for churches. He was a very religious man, as a lot of people were a lot of composers were back in the day. I greatly recommend it. It's about 3 hours long, and the Hallelujah Chorus is about 2 seconds of that. But the Hallelujah, it's a really great thing, and I recommend going to it at least once. Obviously, the Carmen Suite by Bizet, Georges Bizet, Bizet. Let's see, Elgar, I recommend. Elgar wrote Pomp and Circumstance, that. Grieg, he wrote the Peter Gynt Suite, Peergynt Suite, as in Suite. He wrote The Holly and the Mountain King, and he wrote a lot of things. Grieg was a really good guy. Just a little understated because he was out during a lot of very big personalities also existed. Liszt, he wrote the Hungarian Rhapsody, really cool. Liszt as in Liszt. Also Mendelssohn, a lot of people like Mendelssohn. I think he's a little bit boring, but he's a very calm, very he's a very good composer. He wrote A Midsummer Night's Dream. Well, he wrote the music to accompany A Midsummer Night's Dream. And if you don't know, that's where the Wedding March comes from. Da 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 da. I'm sorry, I'm not warmed up. Obviously, Flight of the Bumblebee. I'll skip that one. Bolero by Ravel. I recommend anything Ravel. Also, Debussy. Debussy. Claude Debussy. I feel like you know how to spell Claude. But Debussy is Debussy. Debussy, he wrote Clair de Lune, but pretty much his entire repertoire is beautiful. Ravel existed around the same time, which is why I went on that tangent, but he's a really good also. Again, Tchaikovsky, Bach, obviously. If you want me to go into Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, and all of that, tell me down below. I'll talk about them later. I feel like they're very famous, but they wrote a lot of things. So if you want anything like that, I will tell you Mozart. I love pretty much all of Mozart. Mozart was a very fun guy. He wrote a lot of fun music, and he really revolutionized music, even for being so young when he got into the business. My favorite piece by Mozart is his Requiem, his Death Requiem. Um, it's where Lacrimosa comes from. It's absolutely heartbreaking. It's beautiful, and I love the the story behind it. So, yep, Dukas, Paul Dukas. I feel like you know how to spell Paul, and Dukas is Dukas. He wrote The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and beautiful piece of music. I love it. It's about 12 minutes long. Beautiful piece. I recommend listening to it. It's The Sorcerer's Apprentice. It was in Fantasia. It's ba 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 it's Mickey and the Brooms if you watch Fantasia. Let's see. Bizet again with the Carmen Suite. Debussy, Clair de Lune. Chopin. A lot of people love Chopin. I'm not a fan. I think all his music sounds exactly the same, but it's Frédéric Chopin. It's Chopin. you probably know him as Chopin. Is Chopin. It's Chopin though. If you want to impress your friends, that's how you say it. It's Chopin. Also Tchaikovsky. That's another name that's very famous. Boccherini, Luigi Boccherini. I feel like that's not how you say the name, but that's how I say his name. He wrote Minuet in E major, Minuet in E major, very famous. He also wrote another piece that I almost played, but I can't remember what it was called. Peter Gynt again by Greg. Vivaldi, I love Vivaldi. Oh, if you want your heart broken, just listen to Adagio for Strings by Samuel Barber. He will break your heart into pieces. It's his last resort. No, I'm just kidding. But it's such a beautiful piece. Brahms, he's a very peaceful man. He wrote a lot of peaceful music. He is most known by his lullaby. Yep. Blah 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 blah. Rossini, Brahms, Tchaikovsky. Yep. Is there anything else here that I feel like I recommend all of the Requiem? It's Requiem Mass in D minor. By Mozart. I recommend all of that. Oh, The Barber of Seville. If you ever have the chance to go watch The Barber of Seville, go watch it. It's so funny. I don't care that it's in Italian and you don't know Italian. It is so funny. It's a opera buffa, and that means it's a funny opera. It's short, it's sweet, and it's beautiful and funny, and you'll laugh. Or you could look it up, and you could look up what the words are because it's so funny. Let's see. Prokofiev. He wrote Romeo and Juliet. Montagues and Capulets is what he's very famous for. Prokofiev. He wrote a lot of great things. It is Sergei, Sergie, and Prokofiev is Prokofiev. In case you want to go look him up. If you ever have a list of like 100 best songs, he'll probably be on there. Thais Meditation by Massenet, Jules Massenet. Very beautiful piece. I assure you've heard it, but now you know what it's called. It's Thais as in Thai with two little dots above it. I don't know what that's called. An S, and it's meditation. I feel like you know how that's spelled. Let's see. Moving on down the list. More of him. Modest Mussorgsky. He also wrote a lot of great things. Mussorgsky is spelled Mussorgsky. Offenbach, I recommend him. I already told you guys he did the whole thing. Is there anyone else I wanted to talk about before I talk about my favorite music? I feel like that's everyone I wanted to talk about. I'll probably talk about modern music later. I feel like this is getting a little bit long. Oh, let's talk about score music. I talked about it a little bit earlier. Philip Glass is very famous right now. He writes a lot of cool things, but probably the most well-known guy is John Williams. I say that, and probably more the older generation is gonna know John Williams. He wrote the scores to Star Wars, Jurassic Park, all the famous parts of those things. Pretty much anything that you have a fond memory of, that you could sing along to in old movies and memorable movies and iconic movies. John Williams wrote it. It's fair to say he wrote it, except Up. Up, he did not write the theme to Up. The Married Life, the da 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 ba ba da ba. Oh my god, that song, it makes me cry every single time. I can't remember who wrote it at this very moment, but I know it's called Married Life, and it's from the movie Up. Let's see. And so if you know a specific song, it's probably John Williams. If you, and John Williams is very good with catchy and, setting a mood. But if you want epic, music from song scores and songs that you remember, or just moments you remember in music because the music absolutely made it, that's probably Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer probably wrote that. He's famous for, right now, he wrote a lot of stuff, but right now he's well known for the Inception music, and he's well known for the Batman, the Dark Knight stuff, that series, that Batman trilogy. Is it a trilogy? Is it still a trilogy? It might not be anymore. But I greatly recommend that. They're great if you could find anything, any music by them. Oh, Shostakovich, Rachmaninoff, and Stravinsky. Stravinsky wrote the Firebird. Stravinsky, Stravinsky, I believe. I believe that's how you spell it. Oh, there it is. I found it. It's Stravinsky, and his first name is Igor. He wrote Firebird, beautiful piece of music. Rachmaninoff, I can't remember what music he wrote. Is he on here? Can I spell it? Yeah, Rachmaninoff is Sergei, again, Sergie, and then Rachmaninoff is Rachmaninoff. Yep. He wrote a lot of cool stuff. Bela Bartok, he's also one of my favorites. He wrote music for string, percussion, and celesta. Bela Bartok, it's Bela, and Bartok, it's Bartok, with accents galore in there. Let's see, Shostakovich, he wrote just a lot of things. He was a very angry man. He's one of those people who was forced to stay and write in Soviet Russia. And his first name is Dmitry, and his last name is Kovich. Around the same time as Sergei Prokofiev. Stravinsky, I already said Stravinsky, Rachmaninoff, Shostakovich. I think that's everyone I wanted to talk about from there. Another series of songs that I really, really enjoy are The Planets by Gustav Holst. Gustav, as in Gustav, Gustav, and then Holst is Holst. He wrote The Planets. My favorite ones are Jupiter and Mars. Jupiter, the bringer of joviality, or the god of joviality, and Mars, the bringer of war. It's my favorite. If you find them with the London Philharmonic Symphony, those are my favorites. And now, last but not least, let me tell you guys what Philip Glass, Modern Love Waltz. You'll probably know that one. Nope, I don't know which one this is, what this is. So you probably won't either. But planets, I think there's 6 or 7 of them. They're all really good. He didn't do Pluto or Uranus, so you're not getting any of those. But he did I don't know if they existed during his time, so womp womp. Anyways, my favorite pieces and my favorite composers, and just all in all, my favorite music is can be summed up in two names. Well, technically three, but we always forget about one of them. It is George Gershwin. George, how you spell George with a G, and then Gershwin is Gersh Gershwin Win. Gershwin and Leonard Bernstein, one of the greatest people. He was the modern Bach essentially. Um, Leonard Bernstein, Leonard, I feel like you know how to spell that, and Bernstein is Bernstein, Bernstein. Um, he wrote the music to West Side Story. If you know that, he also wrote Candide, which is another one, a famous one. And he was a brilliant conductor, like blow my mind, brilliant. And from Gershwin, my favorite pieces are, oh God, I can't remember. Well, let's start with Bernstein because I know Bernstein. Bernstein wrote obviously he wrote the music to West Side Story, which is a very beloved musical. George Gershwin. If you've never watched it, I greatly recommend it. I know older generations have watched it because it was a very significant piece of music. And he wrote Candide, also really, really beautiful piece of music. And really, if you ever see a song or a any symphony or anything, and it says conducted by Leonard Bernstein, and you have an option of listening to another philharmonic or symphony or someone else conduct it or do it, always go for Leonard Bernstein. You are sure to listen to something beautiful that you did not know that symphony could do. Um, so, so I love Leonard Bernstein. I could talk about him for hours, but we'll move on. Next is George Gershwin, and less commonly known Ira Gershwin. So, they wrote together a lot, but George Gershwin is more well known of the two. And my favorites of Gershwin are I Got Rhythm. I got rhythm. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 da da ba. I Got Rhythm. There's also in American Paris. Oh man. I can't think of it fast enough for me to sing it for you. But American Paris is an un-American in Paris, sorry. I always call it an American Paris because those are the two words that I see in that title. I already said I Got Rhythm. There's another one. Summertime. Summertime and the living is easy. As I said, I'm not warmed up. I apologize, and I'm very phlegmy at the moment. Apologize again. Summertime from Porgy and Bess. I love Porgy and Bess. If I ever get the opportunity to go see Porgy and Bess, I will probably die. I'll be dead. I will cry myself to death because it's so beautiful. And it's so sad. Is there anything else that you guys might know? 9. Well, there's one more, but I don't want to talk about it right now. And the other pieces that are my favorites are Gershwin's 3 Preludes for piano. And so beautiful. I like the second one. I believe it's the Adagio. It's so good. So good. They're all good. It'll take you probably like 7 minutes to listen to the entirety of the thing, all 3 preludes. Yeah. It's on the Andante, but I absolutely love it. It's 3 preludes, by George Gershwin, and absolutely beautiful. I like the slow one the best, but all 3 of them are brilliant. Oh, he also wrote the Cuban Overture. He wrote a lot of things. He is very popular because he died more or less recently in musical time. He died in 1937, so he did a lot of early Broadway, so we know a lot of him. And one of his most famous pieces, and why I love George Gershwin and Leonard Bernstein, equally, if not Leonard Bernstein a little bit more, because George Gershwin wrote Rhapsody in Blue. Da-da-da, ba 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 bum ba ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 da. I know the entire thing by memory, so I'm not gonna bore you with that. But my favorite piece by Gershwin, my favorite symphony piece by Gershwin. Let's rephrase that because I have a lot of favorites of Gershwin. My favorite symphony piece of Gershwin is Rhapsody in Blue. And I have one specific recording that I can't go back on. Like, that's the one recording I will always listen to. And if you just Google Leonard Bernstein and you do Rhapsody in Blue, Rhapsody, if you don't know how to spell it, it is RHAPS, rap. So D, is that how you spell it? Yeah, it's RHAPSODY. I'm sorry, I can't spell it loud. I have to be looking at it, or I have to stop while I'm saying it. But I'm pretty sure if you just look up Leonard Bernstein and Rhapsody in Blue, you'll get it. It'll probably be the first thing. Yeah, it'll be a two-part video, and you'll see an old man. If you don't know what Leonard Bernstein looks like, you'll see an old man in a tuxedo sitting at a piano, and that is my favorite recording of him. So I'll leave you with that. Those are my favorite songs and favorite artists and stuff like that. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to tell me what your favorite songs are. Don't be intimidated by me only talking about old music. I also have a lot of modern music that I'm a fan of, but time is a thing that I no longer have. So if you want me to talk about modern music, I'll talk about that in another episode. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and then we'll see you guys next time. Bye!